Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today, I'm here with a man who's president of one of the most innovative boat builders going. Their boats have long been known for innovation, design, performance, and excellence in construction. Please welcome Intrepid Powerboats president Ken Clinton.
Hey, how's it going, Kevin? Nice to be here.
Good today, Ken. So tell us, how are you helping, continuing to serve your customers and continuing to build boats in these trying times?
Well, first and foremost, the safety of our employees is number one. So being able to adapt all our in-house procedures to ensure that safety has been a challenge. First, you have to make sure that we have the social distancing and, split break times and make sure that we're disinfecting everything in between break times and doing different tag outs, build procedures so people aren't working in the same area. So it's been a challenge, but I've got a great team around me, and we've done an excellent job of conforming to that. Luckily, we're considered an essential business. I build boats for U.S. Border Patrol and about every municipality throughout the United States there is on the water. So, we are considered essential, and we're staying working and being productive, and our employees are really thankful for it.
Thanks, Ken. Maybe you could take me through it. Suppose I want to buy an Intrepid. I want to come to the plant with my wife or my girlfriend. How does that actually work with social distancing, and with these procedures you're talking about?
Sure. What we've been doing is we've been having it to where people call ahead and make appointments. Matter of fact, we've even locked our front doors, and we have a camera with a push button up front so that we know who's there and we let them in. We have PPE right at the front desk so we can make sure that we can not only disinfect everybody, we have masks for them to wear, gloves for them to wear, and we make sure that we take those procedures, followed by the CDC guidelines. And we've already had several plant tours, and everybody that's come through has really been impressed. We were even inspected by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department that came through and wanted to see our operation, how we were doing. And they told us we were probably the best operation that they've seen to date.
Well, that's good. That's good news. That's good news. So you've got this new boat, the 409 Valor, Mercury Racing powered. It's up, it's running. It's a brand new Intrepid. I had a chance to see some preview materials of it, which we'll be sharing with the audience here. Tell us about this new boat, Ken.
Well, it was a shame because we were planning on debuting it at the Palm Beach Boat Show. And so when that got canceled, we had to kind of reset. And what's nice is we're able to get it out there doing discussions like this with people like yourself. And the 409 Valor is based off its predecessor, which was the 407 Cuddy. If you look at it from a profile standpoint, the first initial change that you'll see is the new hull side windows with the inset style line, which was a real challenge. We took that from our Evolution series, and it's really something that sets the boat off, but it's very difficult to do because all that shape that happens in that hull side has to happen inside the hull mold, which is a lock, and you can't really pull the hull mold, the hull part out of the mold because of those pieces. So what we have to do is we put all these inserts in, we lay up the hull, then we unbolt all these inserts and pull the hull, and then you have to pull all the inserts out of the hull and then do all the finish work. So though it's a lot of work, I feel aesthetically it's worth it.
Right. And just to expand for some of our audience who may not quite understand what you're saying, typically a run-of-the-mill type of boat gets popped, quote unquote, from the mold, and then goes on, and the deck is put on, and the boat is rigged. The boat is rigged, and the deck is put on, and off it goes. In Intrepid's case, you have a more complex multi-part mold where inserts are coming out, and then your boats are, of course, hand-finished. You're not just relying on the quality of your molds, of course, is good and great, but you're going beyond that and hand-finishing the boats and the parts after post-mold.
Yeah, we block everything by hand, and it was funny because anytime I'm designing the next new model, I put it on my.
Again, let's just for some of the audience, blocking meaning sanding, fairing, finishing.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, we take something that looks similar to a 2x4, and we put sandpaper on it, and we literally go back and forth by hand and block. You get all the high spots all blended in before we do an Emron paint job on it. And when we do these new designs, I'll put the new vision on a TV in my office, and my team comes in throughout the day, and we all look at it, and we have discussions, and everybody loved the new design with the inset style line connecting the hull side windows. And I reminded everybody, I said, now remember, you all love this as much as I do. It's It's going to be a lot of work to make it happen, though, because you can't fit hand tools into any of these areas. So you have to hand finish all that stuff. But, some things are just worth the extra labor to get that look.
And those windows. I mean, in my recollection, in my time covering the industry, you were one of the first, if not the first, builder of outboard boats or boats smaller than yachts to incorporate hull side windows, frameless hull side windows like that. Several other innovations I can think that Intrepid was first to market with might have been like the hull side dive door, which this Valor certainly has. Can you tell us a little bit about your implementation of the hull side dive door and what makes it special?
Sure. Back in '94, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department came here and they met with us and they said that they wanted a rescue door for one of their boats. So we basically built them a 35-foot boat and took a Sawzall and cut the door in it and glassed receivers into it. And we literally did it by hand.
1994.
Yeah, 1994. And that boat is still in service 30 sets of engines later, still running for the Hillsborough County Sheriff. And it was funny because we did that as a one-off project because we do one-off custom things all the time. And, somebody saw it and they said, hey, I'm a diver and I was wondering if you could do that for our boat. And, one thing led to another. And now throughout all our Intrepids, there's not one boat that doesn't get a dive door.
Right. And it's since gone on to become almost an industry standard in a certain class of boats. So it's really speaks to the innovation. Tell us more about this Valor. I saw the preview video, and we're really excited at Boating Magazine to get aboard the boat, test it, run it. But it has the aesthetic that we've come to see from Intrepids. The boat is very elegant in looking almost Japanese in the aesthetic when you're aboard an Intrepid. It's very clean, yet it's not missing anything. You've integrated all the features and technology that we've come to expect, but with a very uncluttered look. Can you speak to how that's achieved, in this boat specifically and with Intrepids in general?
Sure. One of the things that we have that's a benefit compared to everybody else is we build each boat per person. It's not like we build boats that go to a dealer and they get sold and the manufacturer doesn't even know who bought the boat until they get a warranty card in the mail. With us, because we build it for each individual person, we have the luxury of sitting with them and getting their input. People ask me all the time about, how do you come up with these designs? And I said, honestly, I'd love to take credit for it, but it's not really us, it's our customers. So a lot of the things that you see implemented, including the stuff that we did to the 409 Valor, are all suggestions from customers that have had boats prior. So when you look down into the cabin and you see all the skylights and you see all the hull side windows, it's because we had feedback many years ago about cabins feeling claustrophobic. When you go down in there, it's almost tomb-like. And when we started putting those hull side windows in and skylights, it really opened up the market because people were much more comfortable to go down below. In the Valor itself, some of the big changes that we did, as you work your way out of the cabin and you get into the bridge deck area, is first thing is a fuel reconfiguration. We took the fuel, which was fore and aft in the boat on center line, and we turned it athwartship. So it's port to starboard now. And that allowed us to also move it forward, changing the center of gravity. So when you have a step bottom boat, it's all about getting up on plane. It's all about transition, and it's all about holding that plane at slower speeds. So turning the fuel tank athwartship did a few different things. It allowed us to move it forward to get the CG further forward so you can have lower planing speeds and get up on plane easier. Then the other thing it allowed us to do is add 56 gallons of fuel. Everybody wants range. Everybody wants to be able to go as far as they can and get back all in one run. The other thing was it gave us some aft rigging space. The predecessor, the 407 Cuddy, if you wanted to get a gyro, you had to get a helm seat that the gyro would fit within. So it really limited what those choices were. Well, this opened up space underneath the cockpit sole, which now, eliminated that issue. You can go with any type of helm seat, and that gyro stores down below with easy access.
And gyro stabilizers have really become a desirable accessory on board boats, almost a standard feature, would you say? Yeah,
actually, we were the first ones to do an outboard stabilizer with Seakeeper. We did it on a 390
I remember
port yacht, and when they first the customer came to me and had the request. He said he had a wife that got very seasick, and he really wanted the boat. And he said, happy wife, happy life, and it was important that he got that gyro in the boat. And honestly, I really wasn't educated on it whatsoever. And we prototyped the first one with Seakeeper, and since then, it's an option that more people get than not.
So the Valor, just to like get back to specifics. So we have your step bottom. We have triple Mercury Racing outboard power. We have 2 staterooms, I believe. It's full beam master stateroom aft, and then what are the other accommodations below decks?
So what you have, if you start up in the bow section, you have a big wraparound U settee, and there's a high-low electrical table. So you push the button, and this thing goes down. It turns into a filler, which then allows you to have a queen-size berth forward. As you move aft on the port side, there's a head with a separate shower, and on the starboard side, you have a full galley. And then there's a berth aft just behind the companionway threshold. And that's really the full configuration of the cabin down below.
That's great. And then topside, the cockpit, we have the helm station. And typically your topside cockpit areas are a blank slate for the customer. It is not per se. You offer a range of seating and recreational layouts. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Sure. With the 409 Valor, it's got the typical seating forward of the helmsman because, it's really nice being able to have everybody in front of you while you're running the boat, so that way you can be part of the conversation. You're not, sitting off all by yourself. The U-shaped seating has a slider that slides out that creates a sun pad, which is really nice. It really takes that forward area and makes it a place to hang out. And that's where everybody likes to sit. Plus, there's plenty of coverage with the hard top. As you move aft, the console, we did the high-low mechanism for those who are shorter or taller, depending on who's at the helm. And how I really came up with that was I was getting requests over the years for step boxes. And I would have a husband say that he's tall and his wife was shorter. And when she ran the boat, they wanted to make sure that she could have the best visibility possible. So then I started making these custom step boxes. Then you got to figure out how to detach them quickly. Where do you store them? So I knew that there had to be a better way. So I wanted to go after making a high-low mechanism that at the push of a button gives you 5 inches of range, and it just lifts the cockpit sole to give you what you need with just the push of a button and not having to mechanically have a box that you connect or disconnect and then have to stow.
That's great. Before we move on to some other boats and some other things happening with Intrepid Powerboats, if you had to pick one feature, and I know you have many, if you had to pick something that you're particularly proud of aboard that 409 Valor, can you identify one particular feature?
I think the hull. I mean, the biggest thing is being able to have a boat that performs well. I get requests all the time from people. Can you add a 4th engine? Can you add a 5th engine? And that seems to be something that you see across many different manufacturers out there. And I always stress back to them that, I'm more about hull performance than I am just bolting another engine on the back. I think it's almost like a Band-Aid. I joke with people and I say, you could put 5 engines on the back of a fire truck and push it through the water. I would much rather work harder on a better, more efficient hull design and not have to have more engines and still get the same performance. You're looking at a 409 Valor with the triple 450 package that runs 68 miles an hour.
Well, that's great. So in the last year, according to my notes, you've produced 9 new models in the past 12 months for the first time ever, and that's prior to the new 409 and the new upcoming 438. So you've got a completely revamped lineup. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have everything that's been revamped. It's been quite the feat. We've never done it before, but it was really nice having some investors that are behind me that don't want me to let my foot off the gas, and they love the innovation, and our customers have really just ate it up. Everything that we've come out with is based on customer input, and it's been great. It's been accepted by everybody, and everybody who's been getting delivery of the new boats absolutely loves them.
Well, that's good news, Ken. We're glad to hear that. So the 409 Valor is out and ready, and then we have in prototype, apparently you have in prototype the 438 Evolution. Tell us a little bit about that boat and where you project that to fit in the market, and what buyer is that for? Who buys that boat?
Sure. The 438 Evolution is going to fall within our Evolution series, which is boats of 41 or higher in length, which is our 41 Evolution, our 410, and also the 477 Evolution, which we came out with last year. So the 438 is right in between. So when you look at the 477 Evolution, that's a 2 stateroom boat with a full settee forward inside the cabin, whereas the 438 is a single stateroom that has a full settee forward that converts into a queen. So it's one size below the 477 Evolution. And, we have people that they're a single couple, they're just a couple with a couple kids. So they don't need 2 separate staterooms and the queen forward. So this is a sweet spot right between the 410 and the 477.
Well, that's great. We'll look forward to seeing that boat as well. Ken, let me ask you this. Another thing that sets Intrepid apart in the marketplace is that if I buy an Intrepid, I have a choice of propulsion. I can get Mercury outboards. I can get outboards from Yamaha, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Suzuki. I believe you basically will sell me a boat with whatever engines I prefer on it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We'll do anything from Suzuki to Seven Marine to Yamaha's, Mercury, Honda, Evinrude, whatever the customer wants. That's what we're about. We're about building individual boats for individual customers the way that they use the boat.
Okay. Well, I think, is there anything else you'd like to add about the new boats, about where Intrepid is and where it's going before we conclude?
I think the biggest thing is, once we get back to the 409 Valor, we talk a little bit about the aft part of that boat. We've also added some above deck bait wells with windows in it, so the boat's very fishable. The reconfiguration of fuel with the gyro going down below, the rigging access has gotten even better with this new configuration. These are all things that customers have asked us for, even right down to we've added side steps similar to what we would do on our walk around model to the new Valor because customers wanted better access.
Cockpit steps. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did you mean saying steps to get out of the cockpit? What are side steps?
So just like a walk around version would have steps to go up to a walkway to walk around the perimeter of the deck. We've added that to the Valor because the 407 there was a cuddy. And a cuddy and a walk around are different in the sense that the access to the bow is different. So we've added these steps because they really enjoy having that access, that easy access up to the bow. And we were able to do it without making it necessarily look like a walk around. There's like a stigma with the name walk around that it's almost like a station wagon, whereas a cuddy is more sleek and sexy. Well, we figured out a way to be able to give you the same ease of use that you would get from a walk around with the same sexy, sleek look of a cuddy.
Ken Clinton, President, Intrepid Powerboats. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Kevin. Nice being with you.